Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev. All glories to the assembled Vaishnava devotees. And all glories to His Grace, YASHOMATINANDANA Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, we thank you for being here again as always. Today marks a special day. We have His Grace YASHOMATINANDANA. I believe today will be his first time speaking on this platform. And we are very grateful and thankful to have Prabhuji's association today. We will share a little bit more about Prabhuji at the end of the class, by which time we would have had more and many devotees. So YASHOMATINANDANA Prabhu, please welcome to Hare Krishna Africa platform. Hare Krishna. You are muted, if you may unmute. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So the protocol we try to follow is the setting is just like temple room setting, speaking Bhagavatam in a temple room setting. So you speak for as long as you would want to speak, and at the end of your deliberation, if you may have some time, devotees may have questions or doubts that you may help clear their doubts. So that means there will be questions, sharing of realizations after the end of your Krishna Katha. And then we bring the class to a close. So that is what we do here.
Yes.
I will be hosting the show today, the class today. My name is Sahadev Das. And when you start chanting the slokas, devotees may not respond back because it creates distortion. So you may chant the slokas by yourself you read the translation, the paper, and then you speak. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna. And again, thank you. And welcome to Hare Krishna Africa platform. So we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Varam varaya bhadram te varesham mabhivanshitam brahman shreya parishrama pumsam matarshana vadhibi. Synonyms. Translation. For me, it's very zoomed in, and we're trying to zoom it out to get the whole text.
Can you read from the screen shared, or the print is too small for you?
No, it's too big actually.
It's too big.
It's too big. Yes. Well, we can zoom out a bit.
Okay. Let me see if we can zoom out. Is this better for you?
I'm trying to see if I can get the whole text. I cannot see the whole text yet. See, it is.
Are you using a cell phone?
Yeah, I'm using a cell phone.
Okay, so you may have to put it in a landscape instead of portrait.
Okay, I think now I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we have to zoom out a bit. Can we zoom out?
Okay.
A bit more. Yeah, that's good. Perfect.
Okay.
I wish you good luck, O Brahma. You may ask for me, the giver of all benediction, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction, as the result of all penances, is to see me by realization. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The ultimate realization of the Supreme Truth is knowing and seeing face to face the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Realization of the impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma features of the personality of Godhead is not ultimate realization. When one realizes the Supreme Lord, one does not struggle hard to perform such penances. The next stage of life is to discharge devotional service to the Lord, just to satisfy Him. In other words, one who has realized and seen the Supreme Lord has attained all perfection. because everything is included in that highest perfectional stage. The impersonalists and the pseudo-mystics, however, cannot reach this stage. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, dear devotees, thank you so much for having me. And I kindly ask your blessings for speaking on this Srimad Bhagavatam in the second canto of the 9th chapter, verse 21. And I seek your blessings of the seniors, I seek all the blessings of all the Vaishnava devotees to follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and my Gurudev, Jayadvaita Maharaj and Kadamba Kananana Swami. And this line of Parampara, we are learning about the essence of what it means to hear and to surrender to the Lord in full perfection, on the full perfectional stage. In Parampara, in the Gaudiya, Brahma Gaudiya, Madhva Sampradaya, we are in line with Lord Brahma, who is the progenitor, who is the father of the whole world, so to say. We can see that Brahma, as the father of this world, he was dependent on how to create this world, how to create this world family, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And Brahma, when he was meditating on how to create and populate this world, he very much prayed. He very much meditated. And in that meditation, he heard the two-syllable sound, a mystical sound, which he recognized. And thus, on his search for how to create the world, Brahmaji encountered Sri Krishna personally, face to face. In his meditation, in his search for the absolute truth, Brahma was revealed. The lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And Brahma describes the opulences, the perfection of Sri Krishna. And he recognizes Sri Krishna as the absolute truth and also as the source of everything, the source of all creation. Thus Brahma, he is very happy, he's very joyful to see Krishna, thus he glorifies him in all his opulences, in his dham, in his nam, in his form. And the opulences of the Lord are unlimited. But Brahma, he is one of the first ministers of Krishna with a duty to populate the world. So Brahma inquires how to populate, how to create offspring. And Brahma, he receives the realization on the perfectional stage. Brahma reveals in his Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara means the controller of all the universes, the controller of all the living entities. Paramaha means he's the supreme controller. And Krishna is the supreme, all-attractive personality of Godhead. Thus here in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the position of Sri Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, is established. We can learn through our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam that there is a system to the parampara, and there's a system to how we receive knowledge. This knowledge is not mundane knowledge. This knowledge is not some speculation. It is transcendental knowledge that is coming from the supreme transcendent person, that is Sri Krishna. And Sri Krishna, he shares this knowledge to Brahma, who is then the first in the Brahma, Madhya, Kodya, Sampradaya. And Brahma again shares this knowledge to his son, his beloved son, who is perfectly executing his duty, namely Narada Muni. And Narada Muni then shares the wisdom of Bhagavan to Vyasadev, his disciple. And thus Vyasadev, receiving the knowledge of Bhagavan, starts to write. He starts to create what we now appreciate as the Srimad Bhagavatam, the beautiful, beautiful story of Bhagavan, of Sri Krishna. And in this line, we receive this knowledge, which is called Aparushaya. Aparushaya means that this knowledge is divine. It is not by a person, not by a mundane philosopher or by a poet. It is not a story or a fable. It is the supreme knowledge coming from the supreme person. Thus it is called Aparushaya, from a person. It is Aparushaya, that is transcendent, that knowledge that we receive through the disciplic succession from Narada Muni to Vyasadev to Madhva to Madhavendra Puri to Ishvara Puri to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was the one inaugurating this wonderful disciplic succession in this Kali Yuga, thus starting the golden age. And it was also Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who found the Brahma Samhita in South India. And because this Brahma Samhita is a very, very wonderful literature, I brought it as a complement to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripe fruit on the Vedic tree of wisdom. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus inaugurated the preaching mission, the Sankirtan, Harinam, Sankirtan Yagya. And because he was a perfect example of devotional service, he went on a travel, on a Parasevanam, on a travel to South India to dig, to deeply search, to research that knowledge of Bhagavan in this age, where most of the knowledge is forgotten. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's a very, very interesting and profound shloka that tells us how this knowledge in this age slowly loses its appearance. It says, Evam parampara praptam, itan asayo viduhu, sakalenya mahata, yogo nashta parantapa. This parampara, this knowledge in the parampara, it comes down through the disciplic succession, thus given to the saintly kings. And the saintly kings, they receive it in that way. But as it appears over the time, it appears to be lost. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has done the endeavor. He has endeavored to recover that knowledge which is available through the Brahma Samhita. And I would like to read something from this wonderful Brahma Samhita. In the foreword is explained how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to research, came to find this Brahma Samhita. And it is closely connected what we are just hearing, because Brahma is offering his prayers of realization, seeing the Lord face to face. This booklet is only the 5th chapter of the hymns of Brahma, which were recorded in 100 chapters. The Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya, picked up this chapter from the temple of Adikeshav at Tiruvattar, a village lying under the government of Travancore, for the assurance of all God-loving and especially Krishna-loving people in this conditioned jurisdiction. This booklet can easily be compared with another book which passes by the name of Srimad Bhagavatam. Though it has got a reference in the pantheon of Puranas, the Bhagavatam corroborates the same idea of this Pancharatra. The devotees should consider that these two books tend to the identical Krishna, who is the fountainhead of all transcendental and mundane entities and has a manifestive exhibition of the plenary variegatedness. This is the foreword by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and you can find the Brahma Samhita. You can find it also in the Veda base. It is very much recommended to understand the parampara and to understand the Guru Tattva that we receive from the Guru Parampara. In that line of Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta, we follow to please Lord Chaitanya by the Sankirtan Yagya. And now the question might be raised of how is this important in our daily lives? How is this practical? The Srimad Bhagavatam is such an exalted scripture that is so wonderfully composed in the most beautiful poetry, glorifying the supreme absolute truth. And here we can ask, how applies this to my life? How can I practically use this in the daily activities that we face as people in this conditioned body, in this material life, in our preaching, in our travels, on the pilgrimage, wherever it goes? How can we use the knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavatam as an instrument for realization, our spiritual endeavor? And thus, I would like to present how we can see through the eyes of Shastra. The Shastra Shakshas means the distinguishing vision, like spectacles that we put on as soon as we face this world. We can see through the eyes of Scripture in a matter of distinguishing between aparushaya and parushaya. Aparushaya means that what comes directly from the Supreme Person, Sri Krishna, through the disciplic succession. That is Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Isupanishad, all the Goswami literature, Shikshastakam, all the prayers that we receive through Srila Prabhupada, even the Mangala Artik song, even the Guru Puja. That is all Guru Parampara. Every song that we sing in a temple, that is connected to the Guru Parampara, and that is absolute, transcendental, aparushaya. And then we might distinguish from the mundane literature that we see so much in our daily lives, may it be in the university. Yes, it might be a good study guide for higher education in a subject that is very relevant to the teacher or the teaching, but it might be mundane knowledge that is influencing us on our spiritual path. Even esoteric writings that are so wonderfully composed by expert poets. And here in the purport it is mentioned about the mystic yogis, the so-called mystic yogis, that might even speculate on this knowledge coming from the heart. And this is again refuted. It is refuted herein that the real knowledge is given from the Guru Parampara, through Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gorakishore Das Babaji, Jagannath Das Babaji, and then to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is the bona fide way of receiving knowledge. The speculative knowledge that we receive in universities, even in the newspapers or on the TV, all the news and information that are basically called parushaya. Parushaya means they are from persons, from living persons, living beings as persons like you and me that are conditioned. But aparushaya means the transcendental knowledge that is supreme, given through the Guru Parampara. So in this practical sense, I would request, and I would highly request anybody in every situation picking up a book, literature, even picking up our phones, which can be a double-edged sword. Our social media, it can be a transcendental gate to hell, to our spiritual knowledge. It can benefit if we connect to devotees. The social media can help us to connect to friends and families as devotees are there. It can help us to find a parikrama group, or can find some information that we are searching. but it is a double-edged sword that is very dangerous. So every time we pick up the phone, we have to ask ourselves, is that really transcendentally, spiritually uplifting? Is that aparushya? Is that from the transcendental plane? Or is that parushya? Is that more like a personal sense gratification? In any regard, this distinction, this mechanism of distinguishing between parushya and aparushya is naturally attained by reading Shastra. If we read Shastra every day, if we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, then we naturally develop this this instrument, which is called buddhi. It's an instrument that we can use to distinguish between what is helpful for my Krishna consciousness and what is maybe not so helpful or even degrading my Krishna consciousness. So in that regard, we have to distinguish. We have to make a decision in our personal lives in every minute situation. And that is created through reading the Shastra, and that is called Shastra Shakshus, seeing through the eyes of scripture, which Srila Prabhupada did in an expert manner. Srila Prabhupada, as an expert, a spiritual scientist, he was like a doctor who could distinguish between the organism that is healthy and the disease that is ignorance. Srila Prabhupada was like a surgeon who could precisely cut away with a small knife the ignorance of his disciples by just one word. And by the simple means of sharing this Krishna consciousness, he could nurture this organism of the disciplic succession. And Srila Prabhupada is a perfect example in that regard. So let us create this culture. Our Gurudev Kadamba Swami was always saying that we should create a culture of reading Shastra daily and in congregation, that we congregationally read the Shastra and that we discuss among each other about Srimad Bhagavatam to create that vision and also to distinguish between what is parushya, what is personal sense gratification, and what is aparushya, what is coming from the transcendental disciplic succession. Okay, I want to leave it at here. That was my presentation on this verse, and I would like to open it up now for questions, and I would like to also to communicate, connect to you, as you might have questions about the Shastras or anything related to the verse. Let us open up for questions.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, His Grace YASHOMATINANDANA Prabhu.
Yeah.
That was a very beautiful delivery of the Krishna Katha, particularly related to the text being discussed today. So, dear devotees, if anyone may have some realizations on what has been shared or some questions about the text, the purport, you may use the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to speak. Hare Krishna, devotees. Prabhuji, if I may go first with a question, that is, let me say, if I may be able to put the verse back on the screen. I have a question from the text itself. This is Krishna himself speaking. Krishna is saying that, I wish you good luck. O Brahma, you may ask from me, the giver of all benedictions, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction, as the result of all penances, is to see me by realization. Well, this is what Krishna is saying, so we cannot say otherwise. But I was under the impression, which Srila Prabhupada hints about the impression I have a little bit in his purport, that Srila Prabhupada was saying that the next stage here, the next stage of life is to discharge devotional service to the Lord just to satisfy Him. I was under the impression that the ultimate thing that a loving entity could do to please himself and please the Supreme Lord is through devotional service. But Sri Krishna himself is saying that the result of all penances is to see me by realization. So if you may shed some light on these two different concepts, seeing Krishna face to face, and then discharging devotional service to the Lord.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Good. Thank you. That is a very relevant question. It is also a question that keeps us thinking about how, as preachers, in the preaching mission, the preaching actually starts from Sri Krishna, and the preaching that Krishna is doing, he's actually preaching to Brahma in a very personal way. In a very personal way, Brahma is inquiring. And the first guru, that is Krishna, he is actually preaching to his disciple Brahma in a very personal way. And in this regard, because Krishna has already revealed himself to Brahma in that situation, he glorifies him, and he gives Brahma the chance to understand that this moment when Brahma sees Krishna, that this moment is the perfection of his life. Is seeing Krishna face to face is definitely desirable. We could ask, is seeing Krishna a service? We could ask that, is seeing Krishna face to face the utmost service that we could render? In that situation, it might be true. In that situation, when Krishna was revealing himself to Brahma, in that time, place, and circumstance, it might be true that this is the utmost, absolute, supreme goal of life in that personal regard to Brahmaji, who sees Krishna face to face. And Srila Prabhupada expounds on this. That is one point, that yes, in that regard, it is the perfection of Brahma's life. And we get to read it. We get to appreciate it. We could build a bridge through deity worship. Deity worship means also seeing Krishna face to face. We could learn through deity worship that we start from the lotus feet. We start from the lotus feet of Krishna to offer our obeisances to him. Brahma has done that. We offer ourselves, seeing the form of the Lord from the feet to the legs, to the belly, to the arms, to the chest, to the shoulders, to the neck. Like we approach Srimad Bhagavatam from the first canto, and the second canto that are like the lotus feet of the Lord. We approach him, but actually we desire to see Krishna's face. Same so with the deities in the temple. We might desire to immediately jump to see Krishna face to face, but that is not the etiquette. The etiquette is to go from the lotus feet, slowly to the navel, to the shoulders, to the neck, to the head, and to the face. That is the etiquette. So Krishna, in that regard, he understands that Brahma has done all austerities. He is a perfect realized yogi. He is the progenitor, and he has to fulfill his duty. There's only one thing is missing. He does not know how, but he needs this realization to create properly. Thus, he desires to see Krishna face to face, and Krishna grants him this service to see Krishna face to face. But Srila Prabhupada, in contrast, he definitely shows us the right etiquette of how to approach Krishna. Thus, Srila Prabhupada says, no, you are not like Brahma. You are not the creator. You are not the progenitor. You are a living entity. You are Jiva. So we read this verse and we might think to be like Brahma, like, oh, I can see Krishna face to face. No, this is not the right etiquette. The right etiquette means that we can see only from the lotus feet to the lotus thighs, to the navel, to the chest, to the shoulders, to the arms, to the neck, to the forehead, to the face. That is the right way to approach Krishna, and the feet means that we have to render devotional service. We have to serve the Vaishnavas. We have to do pilgrimage. Pada Sevana means to worship the lotus feet of the Lord. We have to approach the Archa Vigraha in a humble mood. We have to distribute books. We have to go to wash the pots or distribute prasadam or cook in the kitchen or write an article for the Back to Godhead magazine. We have to have so many devotional service to purify ourselves to eventually see the lotus face of the Lord. And Prabhupada is very strict on that point. He always, in every introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam, he always stresses the point that we have to approach the Srimad Bhagavatam by the matter of first canto, second canto, third canto, until we get to the 10th canto, which is like the lotus face of Krishna. We start with Sarga Visarga. That means the lotus feet of the Lord, the creation, secondary creation, then Poshana and Sthanam, the third and fourth canto, then the Manvantaras, then the protection of the Lord, and then we slowly approach the neck and the forehead, and then the lotus face of the Lord. That is considered to be right Shravanam Kirtanam, the right way of approaching the Lord. But in that regard, in that contrast, that is what Prabhupada is stressing. For us jivas, we have to approach through devotional service. But Brahma, he is already engaged in devotional service, because Krishna, he put him into that service. Krishna personally put Brahma into that service as the most intelligent being, as the prime creator of this material life. And thus, because he has done all the sadhana, Brahma, he's not a sadhana bhakta anymore. He is, at that moment, he is basically in full devotional service. And thus, he is in penance. He is giving all his austerities. He's giving it up to create that wonderful world, to create that universe. But he needs that proper instruction. And to receive an instruction, we need to see somebody face to face. It's like sometimes we look at the lotus feet of the spiritual master, which is etiquette. But if the spiritual master is instructing us, we have to look him in the face. That is how Krishna intends it. And thus Brahma sees him face to face. That is his duty, because Krishna is instructing him directly in devotional service. For us conditioned jivas, it is only by devotional service that we are actually coming closer to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, to eventually work ourselves through devotional service up to see Krishna face to face. Now we could ask, okay, now what is the ultimate goal? What is the prime Uttama Bhakti? Uttama Bhakti is explained in Nectar of Devotion. It says, Anyabilasita shunyam jnana kamari anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. Uttama Bhakti, the most pure devotional service, is to be free of all desires of jnana and karma, devoid of all fruitive activities, devoid of all monistic philosophy, of all speculative or theories. But we have to act in such a way that Krishna is pleased. Krishna knew, Shilanam, that we act in devotional service pleasing Krishna. And that is called Uttama Bhakta. That is the supreme bhakti, the supreme devotional service. Does that answer your question, Sahadev?
Yes, yes, it does. It does, because you beautifully and nicely addressed different pictures, different scenarios, where in one instance the ultimate is to see Krishna face to face, and in another sense, the ultimate is to render devotional service to the Lord.
Yeah.
Now, my question is to this particular Brahma, from whom we are all learning to serve Shri Krishna. I am thinking that he is a Jiva Atma, he is a living entity. We read from the scriptures that the Supreme Lord appoints a very pious, loving entity to the position, to the post of Lord Brahma. And when there is no such a qualified, loving entity, the Supreme Lord himself assumes that role. Now, I am wondering from this particular understanding, if the way Lord Brahma was given birth to, as we read from the scripture, this particular Lord Brahma, born out of the lotus flower sprouting from the lotus navel of Lord Vishnu, and finding himself on top of the lotus flower and being in darkness. If that were to be Krishna himself, that has been the way that the Brahma responsible for creating the secondary creation in the universe appeared. And if that is not the case, then it seems to me that the way this particular Brahma appeared does not necessarily mean that that is how Lord Brahma appears each and every time we have a new Brahma. What do you say to that?
Okay. Yeah, that is right. Your understanding of the Shastra and what Shastra says is exactly that when the Brahma is not in the position, or when the Brahma couldn't be appointed correctly with the Jiva, then Krishna takes over that position. That is his duty as the Supreme Lord. And also in many different universes, we have many different scenarios. It seems like a personal choice, a personal desire of the Lord, of Sri Krishna, to appoint a jiva that is responsible for that. But it might happen that the responsible jiva is not responsible. Though I am I'm not quite sure about Shastric proof on that point. I know that Srila Prabhupada he comments on this also. But I am trying to think of a story, or I'm trying to think of an incident where that has happened, and I would try to do, I would have to do my research on that, to be honest. But we could understand that in a more intrinsic sense, that yes, Krishna is taking that position of Brahma. And yes, Krishna also takes the position of different entities, as he is already present in the creation as the Supreme Lord, as the Ishvara, the controller. He never lets the creation out of hand. He's always in full control of the creation. That means that he is always acting through the heart as the super soul. He's always acting through the heart of the super soul as the supreme controller. in Bhagavad Gita is explained. He's explained to Arjuna that that he is the Ishvara that is acting through the heart, just as a machine. There's a situation where everything goes together, just as on a machine, seated on a machine. The super soul is seated within the heart, directing the wanderings of all living beings. And because Krishna is Ishvara, directing the wanderings of all living beings, that means that he is always in control. If he's taking the position as Brahma or as Indra, or in some cases other demigods, that is basically the material covering, the material external covering, that sometimes Brahma is appearing with 4 heads, like in this universe. In other universe, he is appearing with many heads. But as a jiva in this material world, that is secondary. That is secondary creation. That is of secondary importance, because the main importance is that Krishna is within the heart of the living entities, and he is always in full control of the whole creation, of all endeavors. He is the director on the stage of the theater play of life, and thus he is always directing anyhow. If he takes on the role or not, in principle, he is always directing. He is always present within the heart of all living entities. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hritesh arjuna tishtati yantra rutani mayaya. Yantra rutani maya brahmayan sarva bhutani. He's directing the wanderings of all living entities, and he's situated within the core of everyone's heart. Just as seated on a machine, he's directing all the wanderings. So, that creation, it might be Brahma, it might be Krishna, but in anyhow, Krishna is always in control. And yeah, I hope sometimes that Krishna, he might be take over my life too. That'd be nice. I don't have to worry so much. Just let Krishna do.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the answer. And dear devotees, if anyone may have something to ask or share, please you may do that before Prabhuji leaves for the day. Prabhuji, where are you speaking from, please?
I'm right now in Mayapur Dham.
Mayapur, okay, so it must be quite late for you.
Oh, so that's all right. For service, there's no time. If we have a service going on, there's no time.
Okay, that would be nice.
And you're situated?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You're situated in Lagos, or in which part of Africa?
I am from Ghana, but at the moment I'm speaking to you from the US.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It must be early in your time.
It's 10 of 12. It's like 10 minutes to 12 noon.
Oh, 12 noon.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we have a question from one God brother, Govinda Prabhu. Please, you may unmute.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Sadi Prabhu.
Sorry,
Prabhu, accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, and all glories to you and your service to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, my question is in regards to Lord Brahma's meditation.
Yes.
We know and have read from the scriptures how Brahma was born and was confused, did not know what to do, was in dark.
Yes.
And so he heard the word tapa, and he understood what that meant, and then he started executing that, and through that he became purified, and eventually Krishna revealed the whole spiritual world to him.
Yes.
What is the difference between Lord Brahma's meditation and the meditation of yogis? because Krishna has emphatically said in the Bhagavad Gita that Bhakti-amam abhijananti, that it's only by devotional service can one understand and know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes.
And so therefore, devotional service has been explained to us in the Vedic literatures how it should be executed. And that is what we try to follow and try to practice. But Brahma was just in meditation. What was he thinking?
What was he thinking?
What was he thinking about? What exactly devotional service did he perform in that mood of meditation? And what is the difference between his meditation and the meditation of the yogis?
Okay, good question. Thank you for your question. And I'm trying to meditate on that question. Yes, Brahma had a sense of duty. The sense of duty, in Sanskrit we say dharma, the sense of duty is definitely distinguishing an exalted jiva from a spiritual seeker that might be meditating for only transcendental bliss, or for self-realization, or even for other activities in the transcendental realm, or for siddhis, for example. When we think of a yogi, we might think of a siddhi yogi that wants to attain some perfection in yoga, to fly in the sky, or to dive deep into the ocean, or to be as small as these 8 siddhis that are often described by Srila Prabhupada. They are still a motive. They are still the motive of a yogi. The yogi might have a more subtle motive, but the motive is still there. That is not Uttama Bhakti. The mystic yogis, they are definitely not bhakti yogis in that regard, because they are still hankering after their own sense gratification of their perfection in their siddhis, or even in their speculative realization of the absolute Brahman, or the absolute truth. That is absolutely not a perfect yoga or perfect bhakti, and which is then contrasted by a sense of duty that Brahma has. And Brahma has the sense of duty out of his relationship to the Supreme Lord, and also out of his own endeavor to please the Lord. We as jivas, we can only endeavor to please the Lord, and by pleasing the Lord, we can purify ourselves, and by that purification, that love of Godhead means that we have to take on commitment and responsibility. And Brahma, because he was in that sense of responsibility and duty, he is definitely a higher devotee, a higher bhakti yogi, and definitely a jiva that is chosen in that regard to fulfill his particular duty. And Krishna is very congenial in that way. He gives every jiva a certain duty to fulfill. It's not that we are resting on our laurels. Brahma wasn't resting on his laurels. Brahma was absolutely aware of his duty. He was absolutely aware that, oh, I have to create this universe. I have to create this planetary system. And that, in his sense of duty, was his devotional service. It is like a temple president. He assigns a temple commander, and the temple commander has suddenly created a festival. And the temple commander, he gets the order from above, from a higher authority. And the temple commander organizing a festival, he doesn't know how to do. So he goes into meditation. He thinks, oh, how do I have to organize this festival? I have to meditate on it. And then at some point in meditation, and that is the goal, if we meditate on Krishna sincerely, we might be experiencing a revelation. And Sri Krishna was then revealing himself in the form of the Gayatri. and that revelation might also come in the temple commander's meditation, that then he understands, oh, this is how I have to do this, how I have to do this devotional service. So Brahma had a sense of duty. He was definitely distinguished as chosen by Krishna, and he was acting favorably in the service of the Lord. That distinguishes him directly from the monistic and fruitive yogis that are hankering still with this a tinge of desire for mystic powers or other yoga perfection. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Govinda Prabhu is asking you a question.
Yeah, sorry, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I would like you to, Prabhu. Yes, the question is answered partially. So I would like you to go a little deeper. So the question was, you said Brahma knew he had a duty.
Yes.
But we know that when he appeared from the lotus flower, he was in darkness and did not know what to do.
Yes.
So if he was aware of his duty, then why was he confused as to what to do? Did he got that realization as to what to do from his meditation? When he started his meditation is when he was instructed by the Lord as to what to do?
Yes.
Or when he appeared, he already knew what to do?
I think it was through the process of meditation. But it is like the dormant consciousness of Krishna consciousness is always present within the heart of the jiva. That dormant consciousness, it longs to be awoken. Thus Brahma, he just had to awake his dormant Krishna consciousness, as all jivas have to go. But he was very, very, very pure in his state. So he could immediately, by meditation, understand the Supreme Truth in person and see him directly. That is through his tapasya also. And who knows what he has done in previous lives. Brahma might have gone through so much austerities in his purificatory processes. So this life was very much appointed to him, given to him. And he had a very straightforward process. And by meditating, we can attain a certain concentration. And by concentrating on the sound vibration of the Lord, we can attain, through the name, we can attain the form of the Lord and the dham. Through nama comes the dham, comes the rupa, comes the opulences and the associates as well. Everything that we see in meditation through the chanting of Hare Krishna is perfectly congruent with the personality of Godhead.
All right. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Welcome, Govinda Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, Prabhuji, there are quite a number of similarly unsolved questions.
Yeah, okay.
So, surrounding Lord Brahma, his creation, and knowledge received from Krishna, like that. One concern and worry I have is that I remember some time ago in my mother country, one of my god brothers, who is by profession an artist, had painted our Gurudev, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. And when Gurudev came and then saw the painting, he called a devotee and asked him, "Who is that?" And Gurudev was asking, "Who is that?" because the painting did not look like him.
Interesting.
Now we are reading and hearing that this particular Lord Brahma with the forehead is a Jiva Atma, and as a Jiva Atma, he is prone to making mistakes. Even though he's working under the instructions of Shri Krishna, but because it's a living entity, he could make mistakes. Now, if by Lord Brahma's mistake, he awards a particular living entity a number of years to live in a particular body, which is less than what that particular living entity is supposed to have. If a living entity is deprived of wealth because of Lord Brahma's mistake, if someone is born diseased, and if it is as a result of Lord Brahma's mistake, then what happens between Lord Brahma and the Supreme Lord for making such mistake to that particular living entity?
Yes.
And if that does not ever happen, that Lord Brahma does not make mistakes, then the next question is that does that mean that whoever is asked by Krishna to embark on any project never at any point in time makes mistake? If you may help with this dilemma, please.
Okay. If I understand correctly, we're speaking of Brahma as an imperfect jiva that is prone to make mistakes or to cheat or to even to fail in his duty.
No, we're trying to speak about Brahma as a perfect devotee because he's been able to assume that position, but he still remains a Jiva Atma. And once you are a Jiva Atma, no matter what, you can make mistakes. Only Krishna does not make mistakes.
Yes, we can see there's an interesting distinction between Krishna and the jiva. That is, Krishna is absolutely perfect, and the jiva is of fault, is infallible. In the Bhagavad Gita is explained that there are two kinds of living beings: the fallible and the infallible. All the jiva tattva are in the category of the fallible. Krishna, however, and all Vishnu tattva, they are in the category of the infallible. Thus, he's called Achyutya, the infallible one. Yes, certainly Brahma was a pure devotee of the Lord, of the highest order. He is the most intelligent living being in the whole cosmic manifestation. Thus, he still made mistakes, as we can see in Krishna Lila, when he was stealing the cows and the cowherd boys from the Vrindavan forest. And Krishna, as being Krishna, he himself noticed the arrogance in Brahma. And the arrogance in Brahmaji was his predicament to fall, eventually to fall to the lotus feet of the Lord to beg forgiveness. This predicament of a jiva to steal is one of the four impediment, one of the four dysfunctions of the jiva, which arises from the false identification with this material body. When Lord Brahma saw Sri Krishna walking through the Vrindavan forest with the yogurt and rice mixture in his left hand, then in that material consciousness, thinking Krishna to be an ordinary person, he lived through this consciousness of material contamination, of arrogance. And in that contaminated consciousness, Brahma stole away the boys and the cowherd boys, the cows and the cowherd boys. But Krishna, because he's the supreme mystic, even the highest supreme devotee in this world couldn't stand a chance. Krishna, as the supreme mystic, he out-mystified Brahma in his way. And it is interesting to understand that Brahma, he understood that I am not the supreme mystic. Krishna is the supreme mystic. Yes, I might be the most intelligent entity in this living space, in this world, in this universe, but still I am nothing near the potency of the Lord. Thus Sri Brahma, he came to Krishna in a mood of repentance, asking for forgiveness. And in that mood of forgiveness, he also approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That penance that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw in Haridas Thakur, that penance is the penance that has been going on from time immemorial. Brahma has been doing penance all over again and again and again, but he is always in service of the Lord, in favorable service of the Lord. And thus, in his conditioned state, he's always following the principles, the regulative principles of chanting the Mahamantra, of following the four regulative principles. And thus, even though there is the propensity of the four dysfunctions, of the four defects of a jiva, Brahma is perfectly regulated. He is perfectly disciplined. And that is for us a perfect example of how a devotee should be, of how we should approach the Supreme Lord, even though if sometimes there is a tinge of arrogance or even desire for some perfection, we might be there following in the footsteps of Brahma also.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Anyone else with something to say or share before Prabhuji leaves? But I have one. Madhuvan, okay, please. Yes, go ahead. Madhuvan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all grace unto your faith. Thank you very much for giving us a very good presentation. I love the way you presented Bhagavatam, how you presented the twin, how Lord Brahma created, how is the father of all the living entities. And my own comment is that when Prabhu was asking the question that somebody who's supposed to be wealthy due to Brahma's fault, or somebody, I believe that whatever happens to the jivas, the living entities, depends on their past activities. So either Lord Brahma or Lord Krishna has no hand in whoever's fortune or misfortune. So whatever happens to the jiva in this material world created by by Lord Brahma depends on the jiva himself. It depends on his previous performed activities. Even though before creation, it could be in a state of inactivity. But once the creation starts again, then the jiva will resume from where it stops in the previous lives. That's just the comment I want to put in.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yes. Yes. Thank you for your comment. I'm trying to find something nice from the Brahma Samhita to bring this to a smooth and a nice conclusion. And I definitely recommend to read the Brahma Samhita, as there's so much nectar inside. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, his rendition of the translations of the Sanskrits are just out of this world. I mean, definitely this Brahma Samhita is so relishable to read. And I thought just to read a little part of this ocean of nectar from the Brahma Samhita, just trying to.
Well, Prabhuji, excuse me to say, if permitted, before you read, I have something to say in response to Madhavan Prabhu's beautiful sharing. Yes, I agree to what Madhavan Prabhu you're saying, but it still does not negate or answer my question, in the sense that whatever is happening to each and every individual soul is based on the individual soul's actions, which is karma. And these reactions are accorded to us by Lord Brahma. I mean, we cannot say Lord Brahma has no hand in what's happening to us, it's just our reaction. Who sets up the reaction? It's Lord Brahma who has set the action and the reaction in process. But we heard from His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, who shared a story that once Yamaraj made a mistake and sent his messengers, Yamadutas, to come for somebody whose time was not up. See, so what we're trying to say is that as long as you are a Jiva Atma, one point in time, you may be liable to making a mistake. And that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to find out if such a mistake is committed by the higher entities who are responsible for making sure that our actions are awarded to us with their corresponding reaction. But the reaction is not actually corresponding to our action. Then what do? So I do not think what you're saying is out of the norm, but at the same time, I think it does not negate my query.
Yeah, we can think of it as kind of a chain reaction. That if Brahma, let's say Brahma, he's responsible as a father of his children. And if the father is responsible of his children, same with the guru also of his disciples. If the disciples or the children, if they are committing a mistake, then the guru or the father in that regard has to bathe it out. That is the law of karma. And because Brahma is responsible for every jiva in this universe, it means also that he, in a sense, as being responsible, he has to fulfill his responsibility by offering this to Krishna. And Krishna is then the one who takes away this karmic reaction. Krishna is the one, when offered through the Guru Parampara, Krishna is the one that is actually the one that frees us from the reaction. And I think that is the link that we are looking for. That Brahma, by offering his prayers, he is praying for whole humanity. He is praying for the whole universe. When he's asking in the Krishna Lila, when he's asking for forgiveness, then Brahma, in that disciplic lineage, is also asking for forgiveness of all the impediments and faults of the living entities. That means to say that Krishna is the source of everything. He is the one to eventually relieve us from that material desire, from that material suffering, and he promises it. Krishna promises in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Sarva Dharma Parichaja, Mamikam Sharanam Raja, Ham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo, Moksha Yishami Masuchaha. That Dharma is also the duty of Brahma to be responsible of creation. It means to be responsible of all the children of this world. The father takes on all the karma, all the reactions, and thus we might be committing many faults, many sins, many in the consciousness, and that is Krishna consciousness, that eventually Krishna is the one to take away. Krishna is the one to give. If we are committing sinful activities in thinking ourselves that, Brahma will solve it or Krishna will solve it, it's one of the offenses of the holy name, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting. That is to say that we should be doing our utmost best to stay disciplined, to follow the four regulated principles, and to chant Hare Krishna sincerely, by not committing offenses, we might be elevated to that stage where we take on more and more responsibility to serve Krishna nicely and favorably. And by serving Krishna favorably, we also, as a jiva, we have then the possibility to see Krishna face to face. But Brahma, as the father of this universe, he gives us an example, as a father should do. But then we could ask, okay, but how in that Krishna Lila, when Brahma he's stealing away the cowherd boys and cows, he's the most valuable authority in the whole parampara. Now, what do the children think if the father is doing something like that? We could ask in that rhetorical way, which gives us a chance to contemplate on our individuality. And that is also the main point, that in our individuality as the super soul is present within the heart of every living entity, Krishna has his own unique connection to every living entity and every living soul. Thus, Brahma is responsible for himself and for the creation, but every living entity is also responsible for oneself and for our little creation in that sense. And that makes us, in regard of Bheda Abheda Tattva, that makes us all the same in our duty to render service to Krishna, but it also makes us different in our individuality of being in that Krishna consciousness. Yeah, does that make sense?
Perfectly, yes. Makes a lot of sense. So much. Yes. In fact, once you are here being a disciple of His Holiness Kadamba Kananda Swami Maharaj, just yesterday, I think my other brother is here, Thakur Murari Prabhu. We were having a different sangha. We were discussing Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we came across a very beautiful purport that we were just reminiscing some pastimes, and I'm going to put it on the screen. We share 7 Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 91. So this is Lord Chaitanya reiterating what his spiritual master had told him. So Lord Chaitanya is saying that this is what his spiritual master told him. It is very good, my dear child, what you have attained, that you have attained the supreme goal of life by developing a love of Godhead. Thus, you have pleased me very much, and I'm very much obliged to you. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was saying, according to the revealed scriptures, if a spiritual master can convert even one soul into a perfectly pure devotee, his mission in life is fulfilled. So, I mean, we may continue to read, but we were reminiscing His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj standing there, and His Holiness Kadamba Kananda Swami Maharaj standing next to him, and His Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshava Swami Maharaj standing next to them, and you can see the moonlight smiling faces of all 3 of them. How Jayadvaita Maharaj is having so much bliss that his disciple has attained perfect, pure love of Godhead. And his disciple's disciple has also attained pure love of Godhead. There is so much joy being shared by these 3 personalities and, of course, the universe. Now, my question is, how then that most of us we say that we do not necessarily have to go out to convert anybody. Here we are hearing Srila Prabhupada is saying that according to the revealed scriptures, if a spiritual master can convert even one soul into a perfectly pure devotee, his mission in life is fulfilled. But oftentimes we hear devotees say that when you go out there, we are now going out there to convert. What then do we go out there to do? And what is this revealed scriptures telling us to do? And what do you think our mindset should be like as devotees when we go out there trying to repeat the words of Guru and Krishna to the world?
Yes, what is the consciousness in our preaching endeavors based on the Shastra, based on Srila Prabhupada? And it is that one devotee, one pure devotee is very rare. A pure devotee is so rare. We might miss him. Srila Prabhupada once mentioned that bhakti is so fast, we might miss it. Bhakti, the pure love of Godhead that we all aspire for, that is something that can be attained through cultivation, and that cultivation is very intense. It is a sacrifice. We should be in a consciousness of sacrifice. That we should be sacrificing our lives, our endeavors, our desires to please Guru. As we surrender ourselves to please Guru, we please Krishna. And no matter what happens in the process of preaching, no matter what happens, just by the yajna, just by the Sankirtan yajna of surrendering ourselves to the lotus feet of Guru and Gauranga, the mercy will flow through the parampara. Through the parampara, the mercy will flow. And whoever is like a vessel who can retain the mercy, that is a perfectly pure devotee. And the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, that is retained in these days. It is actually flooding. It is over-flooding the world. And we can be only of good vessel-like quality if we maintain the purity and if we maintain the sadhana and the discipline. So in our preaching efforts, on one hand, we have to follow that Pancharachika. We have to stay loyal and true to the parampara. We have to be strict in our sadhana. We have to read the Shastra intensely and in depth. But at the same time, we have to be of exalted character, of example, that is giving purity, sharing wisdom. And at the same time, this process means surrender. Eventually, it is all about surrender. By cultivating faith, by slowly associating with devotees, by building up a steady practice, by having full determination and conviction in the process, by chanting regularly and with taste, by detaching from all the material desires, and by attaining a nature of purity and consciousness, we can attain pure Krishna consciousness. That cultivation might take, but the seed is planted. As soon as we hear, once we just hear Hare Krishna, the seed is planted. We can see the world is now, the seed is planted, but we just have to water it. We have to water it everywhere. We have to water it by chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada was planting the seed in the whole world. Now we are just watering it. We are maintaining the seed that has been planted all over the world. And by constantly doing Harinam book distribution out in the streets, by constantly inviting people to the temple, we are cultivating these bhakti latas. And slowly but surely, they will grow up. And by discipline and sadhana, they surely will attain a certain stage of purity that is pleasing to Krishna.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. I just realized that I've been talking too much today. I've been talking much more than usual, and I kind of figured out why that is the case. For some reason, I tend to talk too much on Ekadashi days, and today is Ekadashi day. So I realized why I've been talking too much. So devotees, please forgive me. and now, revered speaker, my humble obeisances unto you also for asking you too many questions. But for a very long time, since my early days in devotional service, it was a common practice that on Ekadashi days, I tried to talk or speak something on Krishna more. Out of nowhere it comes. So my apologies.
Yes, I think speaking can also be based on Shastra. And as we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, it is Krishna Katha, that is perfection of speech. Speaking much can be also good speaking much. If we are talking about Krishna, as we are discussing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, then that is definitely in the service of Krishna and in the Guru Parampara. And yeah, we might be humbling ourselves, and it is good to stay in the flow of Ekadashis and of our daily sadhanas. But we should also glorify the devotees that are asking questions about the absolute truth. Because how can we understand? We have to ask questions, and it's often so difficult. I'm not such a good question asker, but I very much appreciate your questions, and definitely that we are talking about Krishna in that regard. And also, I would like to ask for forgiveness if there is any discrepancy or misunderstanding. Please beg your forgiveness also, and hope that we can help each other in this Krishna conscious process.
Well, thank you so much. But you are not forgiving. You are not forgiven because in the first place you did not offend. So there is no forgiveness. we truly and honestly thank you so much for being here today and sharing Shri Krishna Katha with us all. And we hope to have your association again in the very near future. Yes. And we can thank Her Grace Giridhari Puja Devi enough for helping us connect us with lots of amazing devotees like your humble self to be with us and share Krishna Katha with us. So on that note, one final request is, Prabhuji, since you are on the Holy Dam, you are in Mayapur, and Lord Chaitanya is about to descend in very few days. So we seek the blessings of Lord Chaitanya and his associates and the devotees in general. So this is our humble prayer to the Lord and his associates through you, since you are on the Holy Dam. Whenever you offer your prayers, Dandavats, please remember the devotees on Hare Krishna Africa, so that we never depart from Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. This is our humble request to you, to their lordships.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta.
All right, so thank you so much. And dear devotees, we're going to follow through our routine protocol. by humbly requesting you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our sincere appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace, YASHOMATINANDANA Prabhu, for sharing Krishna Katha with us all today. Jai. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Vancha kalpa tarabhyascha, kripa sindhubhya eva cha, patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. All glories to His Grace YASHOMATINANDANA Prabhu Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. All glories assembled Vaishnavi devotees.